And we're live and in color. I am Trevor Horn. This is the BVarsity Game Night brought to you by Motor City GMC and Grapevine MSP. I am Trevor Horn. I am joined with Josh Bennett and John Mettus. Teddy Feinberg's running around somewhere. He just got back from Bakersfield Christian. This is our first post-game show of the school year. Obviously, we didn't have one last week. I was down in Orange County, and, well, the rest of the games just went too darn late, and we couldn't get back here into the studio, so sue us. We are back here this week.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah, please don't sue us. None of us make enough money anyway. And if you really had to sue us over something like that, then you're just ridiculous.
If you're going to sue anyone, sue what happened on the 99 today. That delayed a few games.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why Shafter and Highland are still playing football right now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Do we have an update on that, John, while we're going?
Well, it was 40-21. Shafter was up at the end of three quarters.
At the end of three quarters. So
it was also 13 minutes ago. So.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Steve Lynch for having the long night out there tonight. Teddy Feinberg, everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Teddy. How are you?
I am great.
Okay, so the gang is back, and here we are. We have now almost officially wrapped up week 2. Obviously, Shafter's still going. McFarland just wrapped up a big win.
I'm going to look really unprepared. What's the score in the Shafter game?
42-21 last time we got
40-21.
40-21 Shafter,
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we go. You know, we talked about, it was a wacky night. It was, for all intents and purposes. We had a lot of blowouts. Mm-hmm. Few expected. One from the game that I was at tonight. I don't think that was expected. Ooh, there was no earthquake. That was just Diana showing her muscles.
I mean, I picked Liberty to win.
Congratulations. But you definitely didn't pick Liberty to win by the margin of victory that they won.
How, you didn't see what score I had?
You didn't put a score.
Yeah, I know.
So there was nothing to see.
All right. So Diana, let's go ahead and take the camera off of Teddy, and let's put it on the scoreboard. Let's look at the game that we had last night. If you missed BVarsity Nightly last night, you missed the score. South scored every which way but loose at Delano.
That game
last
was
night.
close.
Yeah, that was not close. It was 48-0 at halftime. South won, passing the ball, running the ball, fumble recoveries. Interception returns, block punts taken back. I mean, Delano had 5 turnovers. South had scored on those plays 4 times. So the Rebels, after playing till 12:32 a.m. in Week 1 and a 53-49 loss to Independence, made quick work of Delano last night. So the Rebels now 1-1. Delano falls to 1-1 after they had beat Chavez in a Delano rivalry game the week before, 26-22. Tonight, what we thought was going to be the big game of the week turned out into a blowout. Ridgeview came in with a big win last week over Stockdale. And why aren't those slides updated? Do you not have the new ones? So let's go ahead and look at these real quick. Let's come back real quick, Diana. And let's go into the highlights real quick. And let's show you the highlights of this one. Liberty won 38-0 tonight. We start off here in the first quarter. That's Big Sammy Stewart rumbles in on the opening drive for Liberty. It is now 7-0 on that 36-yard touchdown run for Stewart. Later here in the first quarter, Alexander Williams with the ball stripped out by Sloan Simpson. Ramon Henderson picks it up at the 21 and takes it in, and that quickly makes it a 14-0 Liberty lead here in the first quarter. The two teams stayed scoreless late into the fourth quarter, 23 seconds left. First down here. Hector Gonzalez finds a sprinting Connor Matzke, gets behind the Ridgeview defense and goes 74 yards. He walks into the end zone with 10 seconds left in the first half. Instead of kneeling it, the Patriots decided to go for it, and it pays off mightily here. 21-0 lead going into halftime here after a fumble on the ensuing kickoff return to start off the third quarter. That's Sammy Stewart with his second touchdown score of the night. That quickly makes it 28-0 on the very first drive within the first 30 seconds of the second half. And then on another turnover by Ridgeview, this time it is Nate Mariscal. No, that is not Anthony. That's his little brother Nate, still wearing the same number 25, same last name. Anthony now in his junior year at Arvin. And there is a victorious Liberty team, 38-0 over Ridgeview. Here's another blowout.
I got my game. Yeah, Garces hosting #1 St. John Bosco, top team in the country according to Max Preps, and Joseph Campbell gets picked off in the first drive, third down there. So here we go. Bosco starts going. And there's George Helani, runs it in from the 1-yard line to take a 7-0 lead early in the first quarter.
And ladies and gentlemen, remember, St. John Bosco is ranked #1 in the nation by Max Prep. So this is a very formidable football team here in town.
And Garces got down to the 29-yard line of St. John Bosco on their second drive of the game, but Joseph Campbell gets sacked on third down, and Bosco goes the other way. Another touchdown run from the 1-yard line. Let's see, who was it this time? It was Keith Savage. Put him up 14-0.
Oh, that's savage.
Yeah. And here we go, a nice 22-yard touchdown pass. And that one,
their quarterback, DJ, is the number 1 ranked junior quarterback in the nation. Yep. So there you have it, and that was a 56-0 win for St. John Bosco over Wasco. Over Garces. Here we go. Highland hosting Shafter tonight. This game is not finished, but we do have highlights. That is Salvino Velasquez getting a nice surprise, his older sister coming back. And here, Highland early on, A.J. Cleveland with a nice touchdown pass to Shabazz Muhammad. 7:40 left here in the first quarter, and it's early. It's 7-0 Highland ahead of Shafter at home tonight up on the east side. Here, an interception by Marco Rodriguez. He sprints and takes it back. Not a lot of players on the roster for Shafter this year, but those that are on there are pretty darn good. And it is now 7-7 here in the first quarter. More highlights here. Nice play there by Highland. And it is now 13-7. Shafter leads this one. Apologize. Another touchdown for Highland. It is Cleveland one more time to Nick Salas, and those are the highlights we have from that one. That game is still going on. John, give us an update.
Well, for the latest from Steve Lynch, Highland on 4th and goal from the 32-yard line somehow scored a touchdown.
Wow.
Cleveland to Joshua Henry. So Shafter's up 40-27 with 8:20 left in the game.
So we still got ball games. Okay. Let's get that scoreboard back up and running, Diana, if you would. So there you have it. Liberty winning over Ridgeview, 38-0. You got to bet that Liberty is going to move up in the rankings.
That was a huge surprise, that game.
All
joking aside.
Well, really, when you look at it, Liberty really did what we all thought Liberty was going to be able to do, and they dominated the line of scrimmage. And offensively, they were able to just push the line. Sammy Stewart had 134 rushes on 14 carries. Just kept pushing the pile. Anthony Villanueva is a great running back for them. That long touchdown pass from Gonzalez to Matsky was opportunistic. So were the 2 turnovers in the second half. And Ridgeview just couldn't get anything going. And really,
Clearly,
the way I looked at it too, Sammy Stewart, great job running the ball tonight, but he had these consecutive plays on the third quarter where he got into the backfield and he sacked Taj Wright. And then on the very next play, Wright kind of scampers out, shimmies right in front of Stewart, and Stewart just stays.
He's a great linebacker.
He just stays right there.
Yeah.
They moved him to the outside this week, kept Villanueva in at middle linebacker, and he's able to corral right there. And I just went, wow, those are the 2 best plays right there, because Ridgeview really couldn't get anything going tonight.
The Bosco final wasn't a surprise, right?
It wasn't a surprise.
The final score of your game was a surprise.
Exactly. Yeah. It kind of showed you, these early season losses to powerhouses in Southern California don't really matter. It didn't matter for Liberty last week, and I doubt it even matter in the long run for Garces playing Bosco, because, at AJ Gass, he used to coach in the Trinity at Servite.
Yep.
He knows these guys. He knows all these coaches. He understands the difference between a private school in Bakersfield to a private school in Southern California. And, people are going to be like, oh, why do you even play this game? Much like the next game that we're going to talk about here in a second. Why do you even play these games? Well, you play it for the experience, because these non-league games do not matter on how teams get to the state playoffs. All you have to do is win a section title now. So you can go 0-5 in non-league and just play the best teams in the nation, and then you can go and win your league, go through the playoffs, and you're still going to win it.
100%. And you see it every year in football. The good teams get better as the year goes on, and week 1 to week 2 to week 3 to week 4.
Yeah.
There's crazy flip-flops and changes.
Yeah.
Football. That's what happens.
And before you and John had moved here to California, it used to be a committee would select of all the schools that won section titles who gets to play in the state playoffs. And you had teams like BHS got left out one year. Wasco, when they probably were the Division IV state champ favorites. They were left out when they were undefeated in 2012. That's no longer the case. You win a section title, you play for it now. So that's why scheduling up in August and September means so much when it comes November and December. So, you talk about, why did Garces play Bosco? It's for the experience, so you can understand what true elite speed and talent looks like at the high school
Don't
level.
judge them in week 2. Judge them in week 10.
Exactly. So, and they did the same thing last year, and they made it to the
Exactly.
semifinals in Division II. So, whatever. Let's move
it was
on.
they were actually better this year.
Yeah.
The score was better. It was only 56-0 rather than 63-0.
Yeah, exactly.
They were at home, and Bosco's a better team this year than they were last year. So
I think so. Very much so. Let's move on. Here's another one. We kind of anticipated this one. BHS hosting Tehachapi tonight, 58-7. I believe it was 48-0 at the half.
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, 51-0 at the half.
Not a huge surprise.
Isaiah Jernigan returned the opening kickoff, 80 yards for the touchdown. Cam Williams had a touchdown runs. Carl Jones did Carl Jones things, returned a punt, 52 yards. Williams had another run. Isaiah Jernigan had 2 more touchdowns, one on a 52-yard run, and then he had an 80-yard interception return in the second quarter. Brian Abbott had a 10-yard run. Keontae Bell got into the scoring with a 5-yard run there in the third quarter. But here's BHS, who only attempted and completed one pass from Cam Williams to Carl Jones. Go figure. And that's all he needed to win this one. I mean, you had to kind of figure that this was going to be a mismatch game, and I think Gola was. You got to figure that BHS coach Paul Gola is happy that he was able to get young dudes in and some experience late in a game early in the year. So There you have it. BHS beating Tehachapi 58-7. Let's move on, Diana, if we will. Teddy, why don't you talk to us about this one?
This was an incredibly frustrating game. I think if you're a Bakersfield Christian fan, they had their opportunities. I obviously was there. Last week they fell behind in the first half. They fell behind. They were down 17-7 in the third quarter. They mounted a second half comeback. They were not that fortunate this week. 2 costly turnovers right before intermission gave basically CVC a 21-7 lead. Bakersfield Christian mounted a second half comeback once again, but ultimately turnovers, penalties, tons of penalties, really untimely times really hurt them. They also had a missed extra point. I thought it was their game to win, to be honest with you, and they did not. They're 1-1 now on the year. So, hey, again, week 1 to week 2, it happens, but
I'm looking at your box score right now, and I'm just looking at CVC's top running back.
very good player.
30 rushes tonight.
Yep, he was
for
great.
176 yards. That's workmanlike, and he only got in once in the first quarter on a 1-yard run.
Yeah, no, he was a great player, Trevor. I mean, he was small, tough kid. I believe is Renning. Jalen
Yes.
Renning. Not a tall running back at all, but a super tough kid. Gave them fits all night. He also had a key interception. BCHS down 21-20, have the ball inside the 10-yard line late third quarter. Ball deflects off a receiver. He came down with the football, so he had a great game. He was the player of the game. CVC ran the ball effectively again. I thought Bakersfield Christian probably could have and should have won the game. It was a hard game for them to lose.
So, and then BCHS is right back at it against St. Joe's out of Santa Maria, another parochial school they have to play next week.
Well, I believe they have Faith Lutheran out of Vegas.
Oh, it is Faith Lutheran and then St. Joe's. So, I mean, they keep playing these parochials, but this is a tough non-league schedule for BCHS because they also have Oaks Christian coming to town, and Oaks Christian is the best football player in the land, and Kevion Thibodeau coming
No
to
doubt.
town.
No, it's a great point. And their conference schedule or their league schedule is going to be harder this year, too.
Yeah,
so it's going to be an
very much
interesting
so.
season for BCHS. It really is going to be.
Yep. Thanks, Ted. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Let's keep moving on. There's that 56-0 win for St. John Bosco, and then one ranked team in the nation taking care of Garces. Garces falls to 0-2 after that loss to BCHS last week. Moving on, we've got another one. Here is Clovis defeating Stockdale 42-14. So consecutive weeks that Stockdale's given up 42 points. They did get on the board this week after 42-0 loss to Ridgeview. So the Mustangs fall to 0-2, and Clovis is now 2-0 on the season. Do we have an update from Shafter, John?
not yet, nothing yet.
Okay, we'll keep looking at that. Here is an upset of sorts out in the Central Coast. Frontier, a team that had a big win over Fresno Sunnyside last week, down 2-0 at the half, ends up losing to Paso Robles 14-7. So it looks like there must have been a 2-point conversion made for Paso Robles at some point there.
Yeah, it was like 10-0 going into the fourth, and then Frontier, the 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns. Frontier, of course, a team that was affected by the delays, so I don't know how much that factored
Yeah, their
into
game
it,
I don't think kicked off till probably after 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there obviously
So-
was the
and I'm sure
delay.
if you guys don't know that there was a CHP incident, an officer involved shooting after an accident up near Merle Haggard Drive today, right off the 99. It impacted
3 or 4 games.
a handful of
Yeah,
football games.
this one by
today.
far the most.
Yeah, no, I think Shafter. Yeah, the Shafter one.
Shafter one for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
because that one's
good
still
point.
going on. So that was, here's Shafter last week. They don't play the JV game, so they were able to get off at 7:30, where everybody else didn't start playing until almost 9 o'clock. And here they're on the opposite side of the
Yeah,
spectrum.
yeah.
So there you have Frontier falling. Both of these teams are now 1-1. Remember, Paso Robles is one of those 13 teams that is now in the Central Section. Here's another one. Independence, after scoring 53 points in a 53-49 thriller over South last week, blank Selma. Selma is a team that played for, a state bowl game 2 years ago, and here they are getting blanked by Independence. 2 early touchdowns, one off a turnover for Independence, both fades to David Hernandez from Sergio Borelli for a quick 14-0 lead. Independence did lead 20-0 at the half. Armani Denweed had a pick 6, a long touchdown run of about 65 yards, and another of about 35 yards. Head coach Tyler Schilhobel said, quote, offense sputtered a little bit in the second half, but the defense was great, end quote. So there you have a great start to a young coaching career for Tyler Schilhobel.
I think we had an incredible, if I'm not mistaken, he had an incredible overall game last week, too. That kid's putting up incredible
He's a pretty darn good
Yeah.
football player. So there you have number 24 Independence with a 47-0 win over Selma.
I'm no math wizard here, but South and Independence both already with 100 points 2 games in the season.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've been. If
quite a few.
If they want to win, they got to drop points, and they're doing it.
They're doing it, yeah.
no doubt.
Yeah, Independence has exactly 100.
Yeah.
While South has 109. Yep.
It's a lot, 2 games.
So Trevor is actually the math wizard.
He is.
I'm just doing it in my head. I'm just adding 2 numbers.
You guys are both.
I'm literally
brilliant
adding
at
2 numbers together. Diana, let's move on to the next one. Here's a game that Josh and I both got wrong in our predictions.
Way to go, guys.
LJ
Hey,
Lau.
I told you yesterday I wanted to change my
Yeah,
pick.
well,
It's
you
too
can't-
late.
you're not
I
allowed to
actually
do that,
think
Chris.
all of us took East across the board.
We
Yeah,
did.
you're not
yeah.
allowed to do that. But here goes West, a team that lost last week in a heartbreaker to a Mission Oak team out of Tulare, a team that was 0-10, and they win 27-12. Before you get into the stats, John, you got an update.
We got a final with Shafter Highland. Shafter won 40-27.
That right there is a big indication that I think that Shafter, if they can get through North next week,
They're running the table.
they're running the table.
They're
They're
least until the
literally
playoffs,
running.
yeah.
They literally are in the driver's seat to run the table and go. Depending on how many games they have to play, probably 13-0 into the state playoffs because they are the best team in Division 5. Right
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they
I to
be honest with you, they should run the table.
Yeah, I mean, here we are on August 24th, but if Shafter was able to get through Highland like this, and without BCHS and the SSL,
It's theirs to lose.
They have another team up in Delano that we'll get to in just a second that can run the ball at will, and we'll get to them in just a second. But right now, Shafter does look like the league favorite and the favorite in Division 5. Let's go back to this East-West game. LJ Lalau, 36 rushes tonight, 234 yards, and count them, 1, 2, 3 touchdowns for West. He was the difference maker tonight for the Vikings after losing to Mission Oak last week, a team that went winless in 2017. West comes back with the big win after East had put up 40 on Golden Valley, kind of an indication when we look at what happened to Golden Valley tonight. Maybe Golden Valley just is that down this year. I mean, Josh Bacher, nice guy, young coach, but he's only got 25 guys on that team. Mm-hmm. So East got a big win last week, 40-0 over Golden Valley, and here they're only able to score 12 points, and so West is victorious 27-12. Both teams now 1-1. We have that final. It is a Shafter win, so the Generals are now 1-0, and Highland is now 1-1. And here's
2-0.
What'd I say?
1-0.
Who?
Shafter.
Yeah, they've won twice.
Yeah, you said they're 1-0, but
You
they're
don't, know,
2-0.
you don't know what you're talking about.
There's those math skills
You don't
coming
know.
in.
Josh is the math wizard now.
You don't know what you're talking about.
All right.
You don't know what you're talking about. All right, here's another one. Centennial, after beating North last week 28-14, defeats Golden Valley handedly tonight, 48-8. So the Golden Hawks get a win over Golden Valley, and this will be the second week in a row that Centennial will play Golden Valley. They're playing Golden Valley at a Merced next week. And another big win for Chad Brown and the Golden Hawks after a 2-8 campaign last year. They're now 2-0, and we're going to get to another team in a little bit that, is in the same boat. So here's Centennial really, the Southwest Assembly League is not going to be easy for anybody.
Of course not. Getting
wins in non-league to give yourself – there's a difference between a team like Liberty that's playing up and losing to Mission who is Liberty's a perennial Division I section championship favorite year in and year out. Here's Centennial, a team that hasn't been in the playoffs in 3 years, looking for victories.
Get some confidence.
They need the confidence or getting it. And
that's what these wins are. Yeah, that's what these wins are for, confidence and to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, and obviously
and at a school where they've got to go 500 or better, I think, too.
Yes. Much like Stockdale, Centennial is the same rule. So, getting a second win here in the second week of the season, handedly over a Golden Valley team that obviously looks like they're probably going to struggle mightily this season. It's a tough run. They lose their head coach, Eric Smith, who's now the offensive coordinator at Stockdale. You lose a guy like Carl Jones, who's all worldly at BHS now. This is kind of where you're at. So, it's tough to see teams like this, but it's the reality. Teams got to win, teams got to lose, and, there's no more ties, so sorry.
Yeah. There's that math again.
Yeah. Moving on, Arvin victorious. The Bears get on the win column with a 20-0 win over Foothill. Foothill, a team that still has yet to score a point in the first 2 games this season. So a tough run and a tough start for Brandon Deckard as the first-year head coach for the Trojans.
Well, this is also an Arvin team that almost beat Highland last week. So, I think they're on the rise.
Yeah, Arvin is on the rise. And so you look at the SSL losing BCHS, but then you get excited about the SSL because Kennedy's up. Taft is up, Arvin's up, and obviously Shafter is the favorite.
Yeah.
But you've got a bunch of teams, and McFarland's playing 2 of the worst teams on the central section to start off, but they're 2-0. So everybody's. But when you give high school kids a little bit of confidence, a little bit of momentum, things can change. And the SSL looks really competitive this year, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's Arvin winning, get their first win of the season, and Foothill falls to 0-2. And here's that team out of Delano that I was talking about, guys. Kennedy for the second week in a row. A big, huge blowout win for the Thunderbirds. Tyreek Walker, one of the top running backs in the central section, especially here in the county. Another big night for him. And Miramonte, for the second week in a row, gives up 69 points in a loss after they lost 69-0.
It does appear they got in the end zone, though.
Well, we don't know. Can they kick, or did they miss the extra point?
They got on the scoreboard.
They got on the scoreboard. So after getting blanked 69-0, Miramonte falls this week to Kennedy 69-6. So Kennedy is now 2-0 this season, while Miramonte falls to 0-2. Chavez, another team in the SSL, they fall to 0-2 with a 25-8 loss to Menachie at Porterville. Menachie, which had that big upset last week against Visalia Golden West, a team that played for a state title last year. So Menachie moves to 2-0, while Chavez falls to 0-2.
Yeah, Chavez actually was nursing an 8-0 lead for most of the game, and then Menachie just scored at will in the second half.
There you go. Cal City put up some points, but not enough against Taft, and it looks like Taft is going back to the basics for George Falgett and the Wildcats. Seems to be working. They're now 2-0, 2 big blowout victories. So there you have it. You have Shafter 2-0, you have Kennedy 2-0, you've got Taft 2-0, Arvin's 1-1, and McFarland, who's a new team in the league. Let's go to that one. They're 2-0 after they beat Tranquillity, and I spelled it wrong. It should be 2 L's in Tranquillity. Anyway, McFarland victorious. This game just ended right as we were coming on air. 52-0 win over Tranquillity. So McFarland Cougars, who are now in the SSL, now 2-0. Let's finish up the scoreboard real quick. Rosamond defeated Lancaster 63-26. The Roadrunners are now 2-0. Lancaster falls in their season opener. And Kern Valley gets their first win of the season. We talked about it on the preview show yesterday.
Yeah, I said they didn't deserve to be last.
Had Kern Valley in the dubious honor of being the last ranked team of the 104 11-man teams in the central section. They get a victory out of Silver Valley over Yermo Valley, out of Yermo Valley, 23-6.
You're getting out of the basement, Bronx.
Yep, so they're out of the basement. Talking about basement, another tough loss here for Burroughs. They lose this time 64-0 to Palmdale. That graduating class last year for Burroughs. is no longer there, evidently. They have not scored a point in the first 2 games after giving 95 points to Palmdale and Legacy out of Las Vegas. So they're Burros down 0-2, and an 8-man Desert defeats Mammoth 32-8, and we do not have a score from the Fraser Mountain Desert Christian game. So there is the scoreboard for this week. Teddy, you're out at BCHS, scouring Twitter as well. What's your one big takeaway here as we in the last 5 minutes of the show?
I mean, big takeaway for me was honestly Liberty coming back like that and winning. I thought it was a complete toss-up game in all seriousness. I said that like 3 or 4 times this week. Ton of respect for that program. I think they have a great coach. They came out, they responded, they rolled.
John, you were out at, you saw what the top football team in the nation looks like. So what was your big takeaway out of that one?
Honestly, I was kind of surprised and impressed with Garces' defense because there weren't a ton of big plays. I think probably maybe a handful, 5 or 6 over 35 yards, maybe 7 or 8 of more than 25 yards for Bosco's offense. So, the Garces offense really struggled. I think probably like 9 or 10 yards in the game total, but the defense was kind of a bright spot. And
when you look at something like that, you look at a Garces team that plays in Division II in the Central Section. Bosco, plays in arguably the top league.
They play in Division I football.
Well, they play. Yeah, they play in the top league in the United States. They are the top team in the United States according to Max Preps. You don't lick your wounds after a loss like this. You realize, hey, we may have lost 56-0, but we can learn off of this, right? And that's
exactly.
He talked to Gass afterwards, and that's exactly what he talks about, right?
Yeah, and he was talking about, he looked at his team last year before this game, and he said they looked scared, even though they said they weren't. He said he could tell with the body language, but this year, didn't look like that. You didn't really see. There was maybe 1 or 2 plays at the end of the game where it looked like maybe people gave up on a play, but Garces' defense had its first stop in the fourth quarter, with a goal line stand there. So, he said they weren't scared. He, like he talked with you about, he set his goals before the game. Aside from not scoring, he thought they accomplished all those. So he and his players were happy with the game.
They're going to get better. They're going to get better as the year goes on. They're a good team.
They're not going to get worse, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So, just so everybody knows, Josh Bennett was not here last week. He had a wedding to go to, so we missed week 1 of the football season. Mm-hmm. But, Josh, you were in the office tonight. What's your big takeaway, overarching, that you saw?
I think my big takeaway here is discovering what these teams are turning into. Like, I know I mentioned yesterday on the show, we're talking, for example, East and Golden Valley, is East a 40-0 a good team, or is Golden Valley a 40-0 bad team? And, clearly with today's results, it's the latter. But you just kind of see, Ridgeview, they handled Stockdale, and then they lay an egg against Liberty, and you see Stockdale losing big again. So you're kind of figuring out what these teams are turning into.
Well, yeah, and you look at, a Liberty team that didn't roll over against Mission Viejo last week. They actually ended up outscoring them 10-7 in the second half. Things got away from them. Mission Viejo is a top 5, 6, 7 team in the state. Mm-hmm. But you look at those losses, it's funny because when BHS lost to Servite last week, 17-7, that was a team that just kind of left the ball on the field, really.
Yeah.
BHS did. And, Paul Gola had said, and this is something prophetic when you think about it, he's like, guys, in 2013, we lost to Oaks Christian to start the season, 51-50. That was a heartbreaker. That team rallied and went on to win the Division I state championship. And for Paul Gola to sit there and tell this group of football players that he's putting them somewhat in the same category as a team that won a state title, that kind of tells me something, too, that, the coaches don't look at losses in August as a detriment. They look to see how the teams can respond. And here you go. And here's my thing. You have Centennial coming back and just taking Golden Valley handedly after beating North last week. You have a South team that played till 12:30 in the morning, and then last night came back and just walloped on Delano. And that was another thing we talked about. Is like, Delano won, but they beat Chavez 22-26. South lost. And then South comes out, and it kind of shows you, how good South is, how good Independence is. And then we really kind of saw what everybody's been talking about with Liberty. And, when you have a strong offensive line and a big front 7 on defense, that is huge in high school football,
Yeah.
especially in a region like this that doesn't air it out as much as you get down in Southern California or up in Sacramento. So there you have it. You have Liberty bouncing back.
Mm-hmm.
You have BHS winning in a blowout. You have Garces losing in a blowout. Both games kind of, we saw that coming. And you have, what I really like, is you have a very competitive, fun outlook to the SSL this year. And I think that's super cool.
Absolutely.
So, Shafter wins big here late.
Yep. Taft's already matched the win total. Kennedy's rolling. Arvin's got to win.
Centennial's matching their win total from last year. So you have some teams that are playing up
Farland's
this
2-0.
year. Yeah. Well, they were 3-0 last year before losing 7-0. So we'll see how that goes.
Of course,
too. But when teams are on the up and up, it makes it interesting to see how they transpire. So, I think that's it. We're done.
Circled a few more games on the calendar, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's the Liberty Buchanan's gonna be big.
Yeah.
Really big.
Buchanan blanked bullet 31-0 tonight.
Yeah, so you got that game next week at Liberty. That's again, the game of the week when you got Kendall Milton coming into town, top-ranked junior running back in the state. So it'll be a lot of fun for Diana Rodriguez, our director and video extraordinaire. For Teddy Feinberg, our sports editor, John Mettus, Josh Bennett, Trevor Horn. This is the BVarsity Game Night Recap, brought to you by Motor City GMC and Grapevine MSP. We'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.